You kept going when it would have been easier to pause. You didn't wake up looking for strength today. You woke up already needing it. Not because something dramatic happened, but because the day didn't slow down for you before you were fully awake. There were things to handle, decisions waiting, responsibilities already in motion. You didn't stop to ask if you had enough energy. You simply started moving. That's how most of your days have been lately. Not loud, not chaotic, just steady, demanding, persistent. You didn't choose this pace, but you adapted to it. And adaptation takes effort. Most people never see. From the outside, everything still looks fine. You're functioning. You're showing up. You're doing what needs to be done. But internally, you feel how much it costs to keep going like this. You don't talk about it much because nothing is technically wrong. And yet, this season has been asking more of you than you expected to give. You kept going when it would have been easier to pause. Not because you were fearless, but because you were responsible. And responsibility has weight. This devotional is for the person who didn't quit, didn't collapse, didn't walk away, but quietly kept going, even when rest felt overdue. Scripture understands this kind of life deeply, not just moments of crisis, but seasons of continuity, the kind that require endurance, without applause. Psalms 73-26 says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart, and my portion forever." This psalm does not come from a moment of breakdown. It comes from inner strain. The psalmist is still standing, still engaged, still participating in life. But internally, he feels the limits of his strength. He doesn't deny it. He doesn't dramatize it. He names it. And in naming it, he finds support. God does not become strength. Where we pretend to be fine, he becomes strength. Where we admit we are running low, that is what sustained you. Not a sudden surge of energy, enough strength for today, enough clarity for the next decision, enough composure to respond wisely, even when you felt tired inside. This season hasn't asked you to be impressive. It has asked you to be consistent. And consistency is costly because it doesn't rely on urgency. It relies on discipline. You didn't feel inspired every day. Some days you functioned because things depended on you, because people expected you to be steady, because walking away would have created more damage than staying. So you stayed. And staying requires strength. that doesn't announce itself. Psalm 55-22 speaks directly into that reality. Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you. The word sustain matters. It doesn't say remove. It doesn't say resolve immediately. It says sustain. To support. To uphold. To carry with you. David wrote this while pressure continued. Leadership did not pause. Conflict did not disappear. But the sense that everything depended on him was lifted. That shift is subtle, but it changes everything. You didn't stop carrying responsibility. Who stopped carrying it? As if you were alone inside it. And that quiet transfer protected you more than you realize. It allowed you to keep going without hardening. This season also taught you how much strength it takes to regulate yourself, to pause before reacting, to think before responding, to choose restraint, even when expression would have felt relieving. That kind of strength rarely gets noticed, but it builds maturity. Psalm 121-3 says, He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. This promise doesn't say the ground will be smooth. It says you won't fall. And you haven't. You adjusted your pace. You learned when to slow down. Not because you were failing, because you were learning how to last. You discovered that speed is not the same as progress. That pushing harder isn't always wise. Sometimes endurance comes from pacing, from knowing when to conserve energy instead of spending it all at once. You didn't become weaker. You became wiser. Nothing about this season was wasted. Even the fatigue taught you something. It taught you where your limits are. It taught you what truly matters. It taught you what you can release without guilt. Proverbs 4:23 says, Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. You began guarding your heart, not by withdrawing from life, but by becoming discerning. You learned that not every demand deserves equal access to you. You learned to stay engaged without becoming consumed. That discernment didn't come from theory. It came from living, from carrying weight day after day, and realizing you couldn't do that forever. Without adjustment, this season also changed how you understand strength. You used to associate strength with motivation, clarity, and confidence. Now you know it can exist alongside uncertainty and fatigue. Psalm 66:10 says, "For you, O God, have tested us. You have refined us like silver." Refining doesn't destroy. What matters? It removes what cannot endure. Silver doesn't disappear in fire. It becomes clearer. So reveal. Clearer about your priorities. Clearer about your limits. Clearer about what you can carry and what you must release. That clarity came at a cost, but it also brought stability. This season also reshaped your understanding of rest. Rest used to mean stopping completely. Now it means stabilizing, finding small moments to breathe, creating space internally. Even when externally, life keeps moving. Psalms 23:1-3 speaks gently into that reality. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Restoration here is not rushed. It is guided. It happens gradually, often while responsibility remains. And that's the kind of restoration you've been experiencing. Not dramatic, but sustaining. Jesus understands this kind of endurance. In Matthew 11:28, he says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Notice who he calls. Those who labor. Those already carrying weight. He doesn't ask you to abandon responsibility. He offers rest within it. Rest that reassures. Rest that steadies. Rest that reminds you that you are not alone inside the effort. You kept going when it would have been easier to pause. God saw that. He saw the discipline, the patience, the quiet endurance. Nothing went unnoticed. Not the days you felt tired. Not the moments you chose restraint. This season shaped you into someone steadier, more grounded, more aware of what truly matters. That matters. If this devotional spoke to you, like the video, share it with someone who has been quietly enduring. Subscribe for more devotionals. Let's speak to real life and real faith. And if you'd like, leave a comment saying, "I kept going." May His peace find you today.